Hi folks, this is part 2 of the video I created about how to draw a clock using SketchUp. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these away off of the clock so you can kind of see what I'm doing, and we're going to be drawing these clock hands here. I'm just using the move tool to take them away, and I'm also just going to reverse the work that I've done, but I think it's always quite nice to kind of start off with showing you sort of like an impression of how it's gonna, the outcome's gonna look like. So I'm just gonna get rid of this as well. Okay, and I'm gonna start. Now if you remember from the first video, those lines going from the center here were 150 long both ways, so half of that is obviously 75, and what I want to draw is two clock hands. I want to draw an hour clock hand and a minute clock hand. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw them out using the rectangular tool, and I'm going to make it 15. Yeah, you'll have to type in 15 comma 70. Yeah, because that's 5mm less than the 75. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one I'm going to make 15 by 55, comma 55, and there we go. And straight away what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a center line, which is going to work as a means of, sort of like a construction line. I'm also going to draw 7.5 up from the bottom along that line, so you get an end point. Okay, I'm going to draw a line across there and do the exact same on the other one. It may or may not match up depending on where you've drawn them. I'm just going to be cautious and type in the value each time. So I think I started drawing that rectangle at a slightly different place. Yeah, I did. Same thing at the top, please. 7.5, and actually it will sometimes remember your measurements, which is great, but I just want to make sure that I'm doing this all correct. 7.5, very good. Alright, and you're going to see why I'm doing this in a moment. I'm going to take this line and I'm going to draw a midpoint line all the way down. So maybe, hopefully you're starting to get an impression of what I'm doing in comparison to the ones that I've already drawn. A couple of triangles. Job done there. And lastly, I'm going to change from a rectangle to a circular shape. I'm going to draw a circle down here, and it will snap to, it should snap to the edges there. I'm going to draw another circle there, and it snaps to the outside edges there. This is great. So that very quickly is how you draw the outlines of these. And as you've come to recognize in SketchUp, a lot of the preparation is just done in two-dimensional shapes, which then you extrude so that they are 3D shapes. So I'm going to get rid of all of my construction lines now, and I'm doing that thing where I'm trying to delete 2 lines or 3 lines at the same time. It takes a little bit more time to position yourself. However, when you do it right, you get all of them in one go. It's especially helpful sort of technique on corners, because you can get rid of a whole kind of corner quickly. And you want to be working at speed. Now you could in theory take one arrow and select the whole thing and just squash it down a little bit if you wanted to as a shortcut, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to press delete after selecting that area, select it and press delete. Okay, I got my 2 arrows, I'm happy with those. I'm going to make them 6 high, because that's what the other ones are. So I'm going to use the push pull and push them up, and I'm going to type in 6. Push pull 6. You can color them at this point. I'm not going to. Now what's different to the last video is that I'm making these into objects. I'm going to draw a selection square around the first one, and I'm going to right click with my mouse and make a component. You don't need to name the component, I'm just going to go OK. What happens now is this is one solid object. and it won't interact with anything else. If it does, it will ruin the symmetry of other things. I'm going to make this component as well, and I'm going to color this red. So let's use red, it gives my most recent colors, which is great. I think I'll do this one orange. No, I'll do it yellow because the outside rim of the clock is orange. That's why I chose it before. Get rid of this menu. I'm going to use the pan button. Just move over here again. Now, if I remember correctly, the radius here was, I think it was a 4 radius. You should just double check that, and you can double check that actually by just using the measurement tool, using the dimension tool. It's that little sort of C shape with a 3 on top. Now, if you want to check the measurements of something on a component, you're going to have to explode it, which I'm just going to do. I'll make it a component again in just a moment. And let's see what the measurement is on this. So the diameter is 7 millimeters. So that means that our circle has to also have a diameter of 7 centimeters. Okay, I'm just going to delete that, and I'm just going to make that a component again by right-clicking. So make it a component, or you can explode it. Exploding it is basically putting it back to the way it was before, and this is just sort of computer-aided design speak, if you like. So I'm going to make this 3.5 radius. Actually, I think it was a radius of 7. Let's just try that. That looked a bit too small. Let's just make that radius of 7. That looks a bit more correct. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rub away these lines here, because if I don't, I won't be able to sort of get this to become I won't get this to become a cylinder at the end, which is what I want to have happen. So I'm going to select my hour hand, and I'm going to have to move it using the move tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab it right here, the end point and component. You might need to move around. Oh, actually it was okay. So I'm just going to, it's funny how distances look on this program. Sometimes I'm just going to use the pan to get over there again. Sometimes something looks smaller or bigger. It depends on which angle you're looking at it. So I'm going to make that once again 3.5. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete away that outside bit. Okay, good. Alright, and let's just once again use the move tool to move this right to the top of that cross. And that's what I love about this program. It will actually, if you give it an anchor point, it will just click to that. It will snap to that really well. Okay. Okay. It's looking like the circle actually should be a little bit bigger. If I remember correctly, when I was drawing the other ones, it was actually a radius of 4. So I'm just going to move this away one last time. Make sure I'm doing this right. I can draw one more circle, and I'll give it a radius of 4. I'm just going to have to extend this cross now. And I just need that top point, so I'm just going to delete everything else away. There we go. I just need that. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to grab this again one last time. Hopefully this is the time it works. I just need to kind of pan a little bit, zoom out a little bit, just to get it in the right place. There we go. It's just right at the top. There, is that good? Yeah, that circle doesn't have a gap on it, so it was actually a circle not of 7, not of with a radius of 7, not 3.5, but 4. Okay, so I'm going to go over and get my minute hand. I'm going to select that. I'm going to move that again, but I'm going to be moving it on top of the other one. Okay, quite like that. So you can kind of, actually you can probably already get it, but I'm going to do it this way. So I've moved it right on top. I'm happy with that, but it's all pointing to 12, and I wanted to point this so that is 12:15, or maybe a different time. Now if you want to do this, you'll have to move this, and you'll have to rotate this around the axis of the center of the clock. So I'm just going to draw a line from one end point to the other to find a center line. Yeah. So you need to draw a cross on the top minute hand. I'm just going to pan over again using the pan tool. And what I need to do is I need to select this at the same time as I've selected, because this is just a drawing on top of a component now. I'm going to select this as well, and I'm going to press Shift to select my hand as well. So I'll just do that again. Select that by drawing a box around it. That's just selected the top lines, that hasn't selected the red hand below. And then Shift, the Shift button, which is the one with the arrows going upwards on both sides of your keyboard, and click on that. Alternatively, you can just try to select everything by doing this. Maybe that works. No, it's not going to work. So I'm just going to press Shift. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use not the Move tool, but the Rotate tool. Now, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to rotate it around this center here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along to the very end here, and I'm going to go there. Oh no, actually that's not working. I need to go to the edge of the circle, to the center of the circle. Hang on, no. One last time, I go from the center of the circle to the end of the arrow. That's the one. And then I rotate. And you see it rotates perfectly round that axis. Now you can also put in an angle. I'm going to put in an angle of 90, and that should be pointing exactly to 3. I'm happy with it there. I'm going to rub away these lines. Oops, undo. Didn't want to rub away what was below. I might need to just get in there and rub away, like that looks like a chord across the circle, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And I'm going to rub away this bottom little sort of construction line here. And what I'm going to do, lastly, is to push pull this out. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, cancel. Undo. Right, I was just trying to push pull this out, but it seems to be drawing up the entire surface, so I think I might just leave that. Okay. I mean, what I could do on top of this instead is I could draw a circle, which is what I'll do, using the center line again. Okay, and I just need to get rid of those construction lines, and then I can push pull this up so this looks as though it's revolving around an axis. I just push pull that up at sort of a random amount, and there, that's how you put clock hands onto your clock. You can go back into that again, and you can rotate, edit and rotate the hands. I hope you've found that helpful, and I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.